We're talking about literally the most overpriced cards in all of Commander right now.
I'm Mia, and I love meeting all of the viewers at conventions.
I'm BZ, and I love it when my wallet isn't bleeding. We're the Nitpicking Nerds who make videos every single day about Commander, and we're sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., which you can go to the shop of, use code
NERDS
at checkout, and save 5% of real person money dollars.
We're also sponsored by Dragon Shield. We have the links for the EU and US in the description below. Best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
We're also sponsored by Moxfield.com. There's going to be an ad somewhere. Bet you can't guess where it is. If you said you guessed and you said you got it right, you lied.
And happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today. We've got overpriced Commander cards. These are cards that are just like, they haven't been reprinted. They're really scarce. They were only in one weird product. They just came out and they're hot commodities. These cards are like way overpriced. I would recommend you not really buy them. You can if you want to, but just in general, I don't think they're like good bang for your buck because they're inflated prices.
And we also have alternatives to many of them to see what you can buy instead with much less money.
Yeah, because it's not really too productive to say, don't buy any of this stuff. Okay, buy. So we're going to give you a few things that maybe you can do instead. So the first one is Ravages of War. This is $140, and it's 3 and a white sorcery, destroy all lands. Now, if you want to jump right to an alternative, could you think of another card that could maybe mimic the power of 3 and a white sorcery, destroy all lands?
Is it Armageddon?
Well, what does Armageddon do?
Armageddon is 3 and a white sorcery, destroy all lands.
That could be a really good replacement. Yeah, Ravages of War is just one of those holdouts. They'll reprint it at some point, back from like the Portal days of, it's just not in circulation, so it's $1 bajillion, even though we have an exact replica of it in every possible way. Yeah, if you want land destruction, this is not what you have to turn to.
Yeah, I was really hoping that they'd reprint it in Commander Masters, considering there were Portals reprints in that set itself.
They're literally like so intentionally sprinkling them like one at a time. It's kind of, you know what, you do what you got to do, but we're going to be not super happy with it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too, because I'm pretty sure the cheapest one is like the Judge promo or something.
Yeah, that's true of some of these cards. The cheapest way to get them is the Judge promo. Another alternative that is a different card is Cataclysm. Everybody chooses like one of each permanent type and then sacrifices the rest. That includes lands. While Armageddon's $7, Cataclysm's $4, so you can basically get the same effect. They'll keep their best thing, but your main goal is probably to just waste all the lands, and this does that really effectively.
Yeah, if you need a mass land destruction, there are budget options that are not $140.
Yeah, but you probably don't need mass land destruction, so let's go to the next one. It's Ancient Copper Dragon. $54. It's a 6-mana 6/5 flyer. When it hits, you roll a d20, and you get a number of treasures equal to the result. This was the problem with this card, and the reason it's so pricey is all of the like chase mythics from Baldur's Gate absorbed all the value of the set because nobody cared about the set. I think it's going down a little bit, and that's changing because there is more hype for the set as the Baldur's Gate 3 released, and people are caring about it. But yeah, that's why Ancient Copper Dragon's $1 bajillion, and I don't even think it's not broken. It's just really cool, and when you hit with it, you feel awesome.
I mean, this is a really juicy chase card, right? It's been really good in like my Kalia deck and stuff, but it's fair. It's not broken. I'd rather much have old Gnawbone if my colors allowed it.
I think it's very fair.
I've whiffed on this so many times. I've definitely gotten 2, 3, 5 treasures on it, which is not the rate that you want to go when you can have up to 20.
Right. So we're gonna chop that budget down, and we're gonna try, let's say, like there and back again. It makes a dragon, then when it dies, you get 14 treasures. You got to wait some time, but it is less mana, and it does ramp you, so there's like definitely give and take. And it's only $3. So like, if you're looking for this big, cool effect, this is almost exactly that. And you'll get the same like highs and lows and like moments. It's $3.
You can also, if you have a sack outlet, you could get those treasures immediately. So you might not even need to swing with it like you would with Ancient Copper.
Yeah. Ancient Copper has the hoop. Not only does it you have to untap and attack with it, you have to connect with it, and then you have to roll good. The Smog token just has to die, and you just get 14, which is a pretty good roll.
Yeah, you just have to wait a couple turns to actually get to that point. Goldspan Dragon's another great creature to make a few treasures here and there.
Yeah, it's $11. It makes treasures tap for 2, so it does like actually get a number of treasures on the battlefield over a couple of turns. It has haste, so it works right away, and it starts paying back itself. Similar to Ancient Copper, it's not an Ancient Copper Dragon. You're not going to get 20 treasures off of it, but you are going to get decent mana advantage. I think probably those are your 2 best bets for this one. I hope this cycle gets reprinted or something because they're all really cool. This one's just not $54 cool, at least for me. But this next one is kind of just expensive I almost feel like for no reason. What is it?
It's Cover of Darkness. $58 is crazy. 1 in a black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type have fear, which is a good effect because you do want to swing in for damage, but $58 good?
It's like evasion for whatever creature type you want, but it does give it to all creatures. So, like, if an opponent has a changeling, that changeling also has fear, and fear isn't unblockable. It means that only artifact or black creatures can block it, which is still a solid chunk of things. So, like, overall, if you are going to say, BZ, like, when should I pick up Cover of Darkness? I would say never. Like, just don't even bother. It is not a broken card. It is not a must-have for any creature type deck, for any type of deck at all. If you really wanted it, like an alternative, I would say Intimidation, which is a card we had to look up. We didn't know it existed. It gives your creatures intimidate or fear for 5 mana, and it's an enchantment. That's one-sided. It only works for you. It's $1, so you don't have to pay $57 extra for no reason. I think that could do some work.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot slower, but I would say that in creature-based decks, especially revolving around a certain type, I would rather have extra stats or something to pump it. You know, like a coat of arms or something like that.
Yeah, like in the situations where your creatures are unblockable because you're playing against mono blue and they don't have artifact creatures, that's great. That's sick. That's pretty cool. You can't guarantee it all the time. Fear isn't something you desperately need. I think you could just leave Cover of Darkness on the sidelines and not feel too bad about it. Similarly, we have Sylvan Tutor, which is $53. Green sorcery. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top. This is the perfect example of how price does not equal power. They are not the same. There's supply and demand and all that factors into it because we have Worldly Tutor, which is the same exact card, except it's an instant, and it's 5 times cheaper at $10.
I mean, it was reprinted in Commander Collection Green and a few other places, too.
I think Dominaria Remastered and stuff, and it's getting down there. It's super affordable, like $10 for one of the best tutors in the format, in Green especially. Absolutely great deal. Unlike Sylvan Tutor, which is a little clunkier, I actually don't know. Like, I'm not going to say Sylvan Tutor is bad, or it's like, oh, it's 3 steps worse than Worldly Tutor, because I've never really played with it. I just know that Worldly Tutor is strictly better.
Yeah, Court of Calling is also really good because it actually goes straight onto the battlefield, which is super nice.
Yeah, and that's $8, and you can convoke and like save some mana. And it is still like that instant speed versus sorcery. I'd so much rather have an instant. Whether or not you play Sylvan Tutor, I would just forget it. Play these instant speed versions, and you won't even miss it.
A card I actually never see anywhere, maybe due to the price, is Painter Servant for $51. 2 mana, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a color. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are the chosen color in addition to their other colors. I can definitely see this in decks that might care about that, but I don't know. I can't really think of a deck, at least that I have, that would really find a home for this.
Yeah, it has combos, but outside of that, I have no clue what this is doing. It's like it's a really scarce card from Shadowmoor way back in the day that nobody has anymore. It's a cool idea. I like that you can mess with the colors of everything. I just don't know what the applications are, so I don't even know what alternatives to offer you other than like, those crappy blue sorceries that say change the color of a target permanent or spell. Like, but who needs those? Even people who play those cards only play them because they target something.
Yeah, the only place that I can think of like changing target XYZ is like in Dan or something, and obviously we're not bringing those into EDH.
Yeah, it's like change the color. I don't know that this definitely needs a reprint or anything. I'd love for it to cost less so people could maybe make more cool brews. But as it stands, it's just kind of a really overpriced card.
Is this more in Modern, or?
Nope.
It's
Don't
just
really know what's
overpriced.
going on, yeah. Let's go to Ash Code of the Shadow Swarm. This is a $45 card that you maybe never heard of. It's 3 and a black for a 3/4. It's a rat. Whenever it attacks or blocks, other rats you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of rats you control. At the beginning of your end step, you may mill 4 cards. If you do, return up to 2 rat creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So, like, as it stands, this is a 4 mana 3/4 that every turn mills you 4, whether you're playing rats or not. And then, assuming you are, you just get 2 rats back? Like, your 2 best rats? This card is kind of like the rat commander now.
I'm actually surprised that we don't see this more often as rat commanders because, one, rat players just really love their rats. I mean, Relentless Rats just got a reprint as a promo in Barcelona's Magic Con.
Yeah, they both have secret layers.
And 2, one of the alternatives that we listed, Marrow-Gnar, is the main rat commander that you usually see, that and Ink Eyes, and it's $25, which in the long run isn't that much cheaper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, like, I would want, $5 less than that as like a really cheap alternative, but that's kind of where you're at as long as if you want Rats Matter. You also have Lord Skitter, who's a buck. He just came out. He's Rats Matter. The rat payoff is really weak, but he does start making rats, which not every rat commander does. Ashcoat's really unique in terms of like it's just randomly cranked up to 11 for rats, and it's hard to get because it's in Jumpstart, so I don't think you like desperately need it, but like, dang, your rat deck will be better whether this is in the commander or in the 99.
I think rats are one of those types where people are just clamoring for support for it. So, like fairies, there isn't as much in the past. So now they're actually getting support, people really are latching onto it.
Yeah, plus Jumpstart's really tough to reprint. So get us more Ashcoats, please. And then we'll move on to Resplendent Angel.
Resplendent Angel for $37, one I personally hope goes down, is a 1 white 3/3 flyer. Beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. If you pay 3 white until end of turn, it gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. I really hope this goes down because I use it in my Pioneer deck.
Yeah, and you were thinking about maybe building that in paper.
Yeah, but 4 of these, that gets expensive.
I think that is what cranked this up, and the printing of Giada. People were like, angels that do something? Well, here's one of the only ones. It was even expensive before that. I think it was like upwards of $10 just because it's a cool card. I think almost under no circumstance do you have to buy this card. Please don't think that just because it's pricey and it's got life gain payoffs on it that you have to buy it. It's not a must-have. It's really replaceable. We've got cards that are like almost the exact same card, and I'll tell you right now, they're $36 cheaper. This one's Angelic Accord. It's $1. It's an enchantment. It costs 1 more mana than the Angel, but it checks each end step if you gain 4 life, which is 1 life less, and you get a 4/4. It doesn't have Vigilance, but you still can poop out 4/4s.
Valkyrie Harbinger is also another one. I think it also 4 life poops out a 4/4.
Same thing. Each end step it cares about 4.
It costs more mana though, so it's a little bit slower. But we're playing Commander, so we actually have the time to build up to that.
Yeah, and then it takes the like last part of Resplendent Angel, which is give it lifelink. It just has lifelink, so it always triggers itself when you attack with it, and it blocks pretty well. It's a chunky flying body. I just think with these two, like, I do not feel any need in Commander, especially where budget is a consideration. Why would I drop $30 on this? Like, at least for a Pioneer deck, you need it to compete. You're playing competitive. There's not really a replacement for the best card of the type. But yeah, this is like, to me, this is a no-brainer. Please just avoid this card. It's really not that much better than the other two, which are really not that great in general. If you're Angels and Life Gain and you have $40, burn a hole in your wallet. Resplendent Angel's the card for you.
I might watch this card a little bit because the Angel Secret Lair deck just came out. It might drop a tiny bit, but I don't see it going that much farther down.
Yeah, get those bulk rares and uncommons that we just talked about. Next is actually another Angel.
Yeah, next one of my personal favorites, Avacyn, Angel of Hope, $35. 5 white for an 8/8 flying Vigi, indestructible. Other permanents you control have indestructible. And that hits hard, right? The fact that you can just play any destroying board wipe and all of your stuff stays untouched.
Yeah, this card just keeps getting reprinted. I always there's another Avacyn, and it just holds the price every single time. This card is apparently just too cool to ever go down. Nobody wants to pay less than $30 for it because it's so cool, and it's cool to make all your stuff indestructible. It's like a big splashy effect. I don't think this card is that great. There are actually some decent alternatives to this if you don't want to spend $35. I don't think you're getting $35 worth of power out of it. You're certainly getting $35 worth of coolness. But Serra Emissary is a card we've looked at. $4, 7 mana, flyer, and your creatures have protection from the card type of your choice. So like, and also you do. So if you choose creatures, nothing you control can be blocked by or damaged by, and you can't take damage from creatures. It's a very similar like game warping static effect that makes people go, uh-oh, we gotta do something about that.
I've played with 2 of these in a game, and cloning 1 is just crazy. There's like no combat damage can be for either of you if you both choose creatures, so the other people, you just swing out on them for free damage. It's really, really good, especially for $4.
Yeah, actually just like Serra Emissary, I would just say it's a better card than Avacyn Angel of Hope. I think I'd rather have Serra Emissary, so like Deal of the Century if you're just trying to get that card for $4 instead of $35. What's the other replacement?
The other replacement is Eldrazi Monument for $10.
Yeah, this one gives indestructible and +1/+1 and flying to all your creatures. That's like about as close as you can get. I was super happy to find this one because I was like, oh yeah, this is like the same thing. And at your upkeep though, small price, you got to sacrifice a creature or else this goes away. That's pretty easy to do, but it will probably not survive board wipes. So like when your team gets like, I don't know, not rifted, like evacuation, then Eldrazi Monument will die. But they'll survive board wipes like Day of Judgment all day, and you can get the one-sided action that Serra Emissary doesn't get you.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that Avacyn was such a key player in so many stories of Magic. It's just so cool,
It's undeniably cool, but if you're looking to save money, Eldrazi Monument is undeniably similar. And Avacyn doesn't even get flying.
Yeah, true.
She just has flying. Next is a card that is probably really tough to replace in my head, at least. It's Mycosynth Golem. It's $32. It is 11 mana for a 4/5 with affinity for artifacts. Artifact creature spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. This card is so cool, and I've had my eye on this card for probably like 6 years because I just keep thinking to myself, like, this is a really cool effect. I love the idea of picking it up, casting all this stuff for free. I even had a cost reduction deck where every card was trying to reduce the cost, and I still didn't pick this up because I was like, $30? Are you kidding me? This sees play nowhere. It's just scarce.
I mean, I think one of the reasons that it is so scarcely played is because that it's artifact creature spells, not just artifacts. So there are a lot of artifact making strategies nowadays, especially with tokens, but artifact creatures aren't usually the ones we're looking for reductions for.
Yeah, sometimes you're trying to reduce like rocks and, cantrippy type things, but like there's tons of potential for this to be broken and combos and all that stuff. So I'm not saying it shouldn't be $32. I just think it's like overdue for a reprint or overdue for some kind of meaningful price drop. Can we get it to 15? If it's $15, I'll buy one if I really have to. As far as the alternatives, the first one, it is breaking our rule of going outside the colors, but this is a tough one to find alternatives for. So it's Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge. It's blue and black, and it's got the static ability, very similar. It says the creatures you cast have affinity for artifacts, and it's $16, so half the price. Probably going to cost more to play. Tezzeret's always $6, and Mycosynth has affinity, so it's basically free.
Yeah, and Foundry Inspector is another one if you want to reduce the price of artifacts. Only buy one, but it is colorless, so you do get that effect. And it's been reprinted how many times? Like
87. You'll probably just find one. If you go outside and circle the block, somebody probably has left one on the sidewalk.
It's one of the best things that we add in budget artifact decks anyways. So.
Yeah, you just get all those types of like reduced by one, and they add up, and as soon as you have like 2 or 3 of them out, you get a similar effect to Mycosynth Golem. It's a hard card to replace. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for all artifacts too. Moving down the list, we have Darksteel Forge at $31. 9 mana for an artifact, and all artifacts you control have indestructible. I mean, that's really good against things like Vandal Blast, right?
This is like combining Avacyn and the card we just read, Mycosynth Golem. It's like I'm starting to see like, oh my god, the text is like blurring together. It's the same coolness factor. It's like a bajillion mana. It's got this big effect. It's like you can't stop my stuff until Mia comes in with like a farewell and we all cry. But in general, it's like your stuff's pretty protected. It's not going to die to most board wipes. Combat's going to be really hard for opponents to deal with this out. I don't really recommend buying this card unless you think that this card specifically is like the coolest thing ever and you need it. I think you can get similar effects. We just talked about Eldrazi Monument. If you're in an artifact deck, all of your creatures are going to be artifacts. So creatures you control have indestructible is very similar to artifacts you control of indestructible. You can get a very similar effect for $10. And if you're trying to protect like individual things, you can do Mithril Coat, you can do Darksteel Plate. That's like $8, or I think Plate's probably $4. They're like not quite the same thing, but you can get individual indestructible if you want. Again, Darksteel Forge, kind of a hard card to just say, here's a colorless replacement for it. But I think Eldrazi Monument's like you're definitely your best bet.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that we don't see people playing Eldrazi Monument more, considering we do see a lot of people like hyping up Avacyn. Like, I only play it because it's in Kalia, so you could cheat it out.
Yeah, I think Monument's awesome. Like, I think it's a pretty cool budget-ish card. It's on the fringe, like $50 to $100. You might start seeing it.
Yeah, I really want to try and add it in something now. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool card. Next is a card that you like a lot. What is it?
Exquisite Blood, $30. 4 and black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Combos with things like Veto and Sanguine Bond really nicely. And there just aren't that many alternatives to it. There's a little bit of like dirtily effects here and there. It's like when you gain life, they might lose one, or like, something like that. But there's nothing that mimics that perfectly, so you have that combo synergy with it.
Yeah, this is why it's $30. Even though it got reprinted once or twice, it's just kind of like we have all of the other halves. We have a bunch of Sanguine Bond effects, which say whenever we gain life, someone loses life, but we don't have whenever they lose life, we gain life. So this is very sought after. I don't know. I don't want to give you a recommendation because I would say as far as alternatives go for the combo, there's basically none. Like almost literally zero. If you just want alternatives for a life gain deck that are like non-creature permanents that stick around, then all of those vetoes and even like Bastion of Remembrance could do something similar. Cliffhaven Vampire. Whenever you lose life, whenever you gain life, they lose life. There's a 7-mana Sanguine Lord guy who is just Sanguine Bond on a stick. Those are obviously fair game if you don't care about the combo, but I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think if I were going to give a recommendation, though, it would be moxfield.com, the best place online to build decks. You can do a dark mode, light mode, any commander, put it on there, any format or no format. You could just do a straight up list, too, for things like cubes.
I would love to see Redacted site try that, because as far as I know, ever since Moxfield debuted, Redacted website's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, you can follow people online, and you can actually see when they update their decks as a social feed.
Yeah, feel free to follow us, and they've got some big things coming down the pipeline, too. So keep an eye out, because you're going to be seeing a lot more of Moxfield.com in the near future. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of Sword of Truth and Justice on this list. $31. Okay, 3 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 as pro white and pro blue, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, then proliferate, and as all these swords do, they have equip 2. I am like, so this one is the one that baffles me the most, is like why this card is worth more than $5. I don't really understand. Maybe it was because it was a Horizons, type release, and like that was a more expensive set, but like I have no desire to play this card, at least personally. I don't get it. I don't know.
I mean, I play Poison, and I don't have a desire to play this. I think that there's a lot of counters, type synergy that just skyrocket the price of those cards, like Doubling Season, our favorite.
Yeah, our favorite 5-mana investment, Doubling Season. But it's just like, if you want to proliferate, which I assume has to be the goal when you play this card, because the +1/+1 counter is not, like, it's nice to have. I'm sure, sprinkle it in for sure. It's a nice way to get the proliferate going, but it's not why you play this card. It has to be the proliferate. So outside of all the like regular blue spells that proliferate, we're going to keep it colorless. Staff of Completion. It's a $5 card. It's a 3-mana investment, and you never really have to spend more mana into it if you don't want to, and it proliferates every turn and just pay a couple life. Like, to me, that is far and away better, and it's only $5.
I like the fact that it has all of their modes, too.
Yeah, it can make mana.
So if you don't actually need the proliferate at the time, or if you're playing something with, like, counters and your board just got wiped, you have other things to do with it.
Yeah, and there's, like, tappy-untappy shenanigans you can probably get up to with it, and, like, reduce the cost of the ability or something. I don't know. But I just look at that card, and I see so much more of a ceiling. There's so much less hoops to jump through of like equipping and attacking and connecting, and then all right, now we can proliferate. It's like, phew, how about instant speed, no questions asked, pay a couple life, proliferate. That's what I want. Or go bigger with Contagion Engine, which is $13, and get a nice little shrinky dink on everyone else's creatures. It's a nice start to proliferate, and it taps for 4 to proliferate twice. So that's just like, again, no effort, and you're going to start killing creatures.
Yeah, I love the fact that you don't need the creatures on the board to staple this onto. It's just one less hoop, as you said.
Yeah, if they're there, great. If your opponent has creatures, cool. If you don't have creatures, doesn't matter. This thing just starts proliferating, gets whatever counters you're looking for onto whatever permanents you're looking for without all this extra steps.
If we want to talk about commanders, though, there's Gishath, Sun's Avatar, $29, 5 red, green, white for a 7/6 Vigi Trample Haste. Big dinosaur. When he deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on your bottom of your library in a random order. I mean, we just love cheating on creatures, right? There's so many creatures and commanders that support that archetype. And
yeah.
Of course, dinosaurs need one.
Yeah, this is a nice creature type, a nice typal deck. I was surprised that this card was more than 5 cents. I just can't handle the passage of time. Ixalan in my head came out 2 years ago, and I hated it. It kind of was a miss for me. But the dinosaurs part was like the cool part. That was the coolest part of it. This card apparently just has had demand the entire time. $29. Oh my god. And if you're looking for like a dinosaur commander and you don't want to spend that much money, we have Zakama. They printed in the next set. Zakama, it's not a dinosaur payoff, but it is a Naya dinosaur that has huge, gigantic abilities, and it's $3 thanks to Commander Masters. Nice.
I'm actually surprised that Zakama is way less money, considering it is played a lot more.
It's definitely a stronger card. I just got more reprinted, I guess. It's got a little bit more reprint attention. Gishath kind of fallen by the wayside. They're saving it for something. They're going to be like, here's a... I guess they already did a secret lair with Gishath. They had like an X-ray secret lair. So maybe this is even less expensive because of that, and it would have been like $50 or something.
I mean, maybe they've reprinted like Dragon like 10 times already, so maybe they're saving it for another master set or something like that.
Yeah, Gishath though, you know what? Shout out to the previous entry, Sylvan Tutor and Worldly Tutor. You put the dinosaurs on top, then you Gishath, and then you get the dinosaurs out. So like, Gishath being 3 times more expensive than Worldly Tutor kind of blew my mind a little bit. But we get another $30 card, and this one, I think it's a little bit overhyped. We'll see. It's Black Market Connections, $29 for a 2 and a black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more. You either make a treasure token and lose 1, draw a card and lose 2, or get a 3/2 changeling and you lose 3. Rarely you're going to pick that third mode. I don't think that's going to come up a lot. It's nice to have. It's certainly better for it being on the card. Mostly you're going to draw and lose 2, and then you have the option, which is hard to pass up on, is losing an extra life to make a treasure and kind of have this be like a mana rock.
I mean, the reason this is so expensive is because it was only printed in one of the precons, right?
Yeah, the black-white party precon from like Baldur's Gate Commander.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've seen people die to this many times in 1v1 on Arena, so I'm not that high on it, but I guess in Commander, it's a little bit more playable considering you do have more life to play around with.
I've seen it plenty of times, and I never feel like, oh, dang, I'm really missing out by not having that on the board. I've never felt the call of like Black Market Connections. I would say it's probably like definitely a better card than Phyrexian Arena, but Phyrexian Arena is a $3 card right now. So if you had me to tell me I had to buy one of them right now, I would just buy Phyrexian Arena for $3 and say, you know, I'm not super happy with this card. I don't like playing Phyrexian Arena, but I like saving $30. I'll go buy like a meal.
Yeah, I'd also play Call of the Ring. You have to pay 2 life just like Black Market Connections to draw a card, but still $2 versus $29. It just got reprinted too, or it just got printed for the first time.
Yeah, it's cheaper, and it gives you more bonuses. You get like evasion built in, and then like you start making opponents lose life. So Call of the Ring is probably a more suitable like replacement because you get other stuff on top of it. Still though, like Black Market Connections, I don't think it's a $30 card. I think you need to just leave it alone until it goes down to $10 due to some reprint, and then you'll be happy. And then it'll be a little bit more palatable, more, at least for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's fast enough to justify $30 when like maybe Ristic Study's like about there at this point.
Ooh, man, yeah, imagine having to buy one or the other. Give me Ristic Study all day. Okay, we got another commander. This is your boy. Who we got?
Bruvac the Grandiloquent?
That's what I got out of it.
$28. Tuna Blue, 1/4. Human Advisor. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead. I've noticed that mill cards are so expensive. Mill players just love the archetype so much.
It's challenge accepted in Commander. Can I mill 3 people? That's 300 cards. Realistically, it's probably like, you know, 30 to 60 cards less than that. But it's like, oh my god, it's so hard. People can shuffle back in their libraries. You don't know what they're playing. Some cards shuffle back in like Nexus of Fate or an Eldrazi Titan, and then you got to figure something else out. And in Mono Blue, it's just like the biggest challenge. This is one of those jumpstart cards that's like just like Ashcoat. It was in an earlier version, I think, and it's just really, there's no replacements for this card that, like, in terms of text box. There's no card that says if they would mill, they mill that much again. That's not really a thing.
Yeah, this was reprinted on the list once, but other than that, it's just there's nothing that you can really slap down and go, yep, this is 1-to-1 perfect.
Right, we still have suggestions. So the first one I would do if you're looking for a Mono Blue commander, maybe while you work up the $27 extra, Zelix, the Sanity Flare, it pays you off for milling. It says it's one of the only other commanders to do that. Whenever they mill a creature, you get a 1/1. So you can have some nice little synergies with that. It's really good with Altar of the Brood, like really, really, really good with that card. They might just die to it. And that to me looks still fun, still interesting, still keeps the core image of the deck. It's not like, oh, it's Mono Blue, but my commander is like randomly, I don't know, Venser.
Yeah, Folio Fancies is one of my favorite mill cards to play. 1 in a blue. This artifact comes out, players have no max hand size. You pay XX and tap it, and everyone draws X cards. And if you pay 2 to blue and you tap it, each opponent mills the amount of cards on their library equal to the amount of cards in their hand. So it looks kind of group huggy to begin with if you're having people draw like 2 or 3 cards and they have like a hand of 10 cards, but chunking them for that 10, 15 is it feels really good.
Especially if you set it up before and you can go like end step, mill equal to your hand size, untap, mill equal to your hand size. Things get really out of hand. But those are the good mill suggestions for it. There is a curse from Amonkhet, whose name escapes me, curse of something, where like it mills equal to the amount that they think they've milled before. That's another option. Mill, you know, you mill players know. You know that Wizards does not give you that many juicy options, and you take what you get. So Bruvac, $28. Please come back to Reality Brewvog. If you're looking for another video that would be super helpful, I would send you to our most recent video, which is the 10 cards that we think are our pet cards that we just kind of love just because they're super special to us.
Absolutely. And the tip for the day is, if you're going to be in Vegas, come see us.